I'm old as dirt.
Yeah, you are. So, no, I'm just kidding.
Hello, my name is Pony Lawson. I'm here at Inked NYC, and today we're going to be going over some of my tattoos. Well, I've been tattooing for, oh boy, going on 23 years now. I've had a variety of different styles. I've never kind of stuck to one thing, although realism has always been a staple in my career. I've always tried to branch out and do different things because I don't want things to become stale, right? I kind of want my portfolio to almost be like an art gallery where there's a time limit on certain pieces, and then I move on to something bigger or just something different. I definitely want to change style soon. I feel like I'm at the end of my micro-portrait era, and I'd like to move on to something else. Lately, these gold reflective tattoos have kind of caught my attention, and I kind of want to do more of those. So if anybody out there wants any, hit me up. Who would get this? This ugly mug. This was done on a friend that I used to tattoo in his kitchen 20 years ago. One of my eyes is placed right on top of a mole. I don't remember which eye it was, but like we had to be super strategic with the shadows on the eye. It's crazy that somebody would actually get my face, but I'm glad it was him to do that instead of just some rando who I didn't know. I mean, if that's really what they want, I would rather do it to them than have somebody else do it to them, right? So now he's got a full like half sleeve of a lot of like pop culture celebrities, aside from myself. He's got Bam Margera on there, Gwen Stefani, Vanilla Ice. He's got a handful of really cool stuff. I don't know why I belong in that mix of but you know. RuPaul. This was before my micro-portrait age. I was doing a lot of bigger scale black and white tattoos, and I was really proud of this one because this was like one of the first tattoos I think that I got a lot of stuff right. Like having those very soft tones throughout the face and in the hair, to me that was very difficult. So I was pretty proud of this one when I did it. I also think like the less detail that you have in the hair, the more focus you're gonna have on the face. So that was kind of the goal with this. I didn't want to overly detail the hair and have people just looking up at the hair. I wanted them to look at RuPaul's eyes. You know, maybe if I had that extra time, I would add a little bit more detail in the hair just to make it more realistic. You know, people always love celebrities. They've always got an attachment to celebrities. It's a little bit easier to market things when you're posting portraits of celebrities or pop culture icons rather than people's grandparents and whatnot. I'm not saying either one is better, but more people are attached to the celebrity than they are Bob's uncle, you know.
What's something that you have never tattooed that you would love to tattoo that is from the pop culture sphere?
I mean, I don't know how well I would do with it, but I'm a huge fan of Nintendo, clearly. But I would love to do some kind of like old school NES video game sleeve. I think that would be the coolest in the world. I know it would take me forever to design it because it's not my usual cup of tea, but yeah, I think that like the retro 90s era, 80s stuff is probably some of my favorite. So this one is a fairly recent one. My buddy Tom helped me with this one. Shout out to Taz Tattoo, check him out. He did the bottom piece, the little crumpled up paper with the Deadpool, and I did the Deadpool on top, the black and white. I think him and I work really well together. You know, we're not smearing each other's stencils, and I think we're both very happy with how this one came out. My biggest hurdle when it comes to collabs is keeping my stencil clean if somebody else is working. It's got to be some of the hardest because when it comes to my stencils, they are very intricate, and if you erase one little thing, it could be an eyebrow, or you know what I mean, it could be something that's important. I'm pretty happy with this one. I mean, it is pretty recent, so yeah, I don't think there's anything I would change with this one. We're hoping to do a lot more of these, to be honest, so if anybody's got any ideas and wants to send them our way, we're definitely open to it. So this tattoo was 100% custom. One of the friends that I grew up with years ago when we were like in elementary school hit me up, and he came through when I first opened up my shop, and he wanted a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a rad hat on. And so that's kind of what I came up with. I thought the glasses were very fitting. I loved the purple in the back with a little graffiti drips, and of course we had to add that little dino chain that's blinged out. I think it's always gonna be better if you design your own stuff if you're capable of it, but of course you're not gonna be able to design every different style of tattoo for your client. So, I mean, to me, sometimes I feel like if somebody wants a certain artist style of something, I think I'm completely fine to tattoo that. If you're able to remake it your own somehow, if the client is a fan of your style, then I mean, go for it. That's obviously going to give you the best end result out of it. Because you're also designing something that's going to fit the arm or wherever you're placing the tattoo best. Usually when I think of a good new school tattoo, I think of a lot of bright, vivid colors. A lot of times there are a lot of warped features. I know in this one it's not super warped. It's got some traditional elements to it, or I guess neo-traditional elements to it. I don't know, the neo-traditional tattoos are always just fun, lots of color pops. So there's really not much I would change with this one, to be honest. I'm pretty happy with it. I might add like a little drop shadow here and there, like maybe a drop shadow under the chain. But to be honest, I like this one a lot. There really isn't much I would do with it. To be honest, tattooing dogs for me is so difficult. This is one of the more difficult tattoos to do. I feel like I can achieve smooth skin very well, but when it comes to fur, I have such a hard time. I think I'm okay at it. I think there are tattooers that are better than me at it. Unless it's like a rhino that's got a bunch of wrinkles or something, you know, that might be a little easier, but fur, to me, is some of the toughest things to tattoo. Cats, dogs are very difficult. But I am very happy with this one. I like how the dog's face kind of comes out of the frame a little bit, and he's wearing that little Nemo life jacket. Is just the cutest touch. I think I cropped it well on this one.
Are there any other textures that you think are difficult to tattoo?
Yeah, like an octopus. See, how do you say that? Octopi? How do you say octopi? Octopi. Definitely one of my favorite tattoos done here at Inked Magazine in New York. I love the reflection in this one, and I'm a huge fan of Daft Punk. I have been since I was a super young kid. Possibly in the past I might have done some reflective stuff, but this was probably the first one that I really kind of took it to the next level with that reflection. And that's the biggest thing that people comment about this tattoo, is obviously the reflection of it. To me, the more difficult part is the jacket. The reflection in the mask wasn't so hard because it's a lot of different shapes. You don't really know what's going on back there. So as long as you can nail a lot of those shades, you're gonna be all right. But when it came to that jacket, holy Lord, there's so many little details, and you had to get the whites right in the exact spot. So to me, that was the hardest part. I mean, if I had the choice, I would like to either add something to the background or do just a little bit of gray shading behind the helmet to keep that white popping in the future, because I feel like there just needs to be something to set that white off a little bit, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot, just enough to make the difference. Right now it's kind of saved for if you want something in the future, there's room for it. So whenever he decides to put something in the background, hopefully they can butt it up to it nice, and it'll keep that white edge looking nice and sharp. The Daft Punk tattoo is kind of what led me into this stuff. That kind of started my love for the reflective things, and then I saw some people doing some reflective stuff online, and I thought, you know, I could do that for sure. So I was stoked about it because I knew I could nail this thing. And it was rather difficult, I can't lie. Like, there was a lot of subtle little tones in there. I mean, if you really look at it, there's a lot of like crazy little things about it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I could be a lot more loose with the Daft Punk one, and you couldn't really tell what's being reflected. But with this one, it's all square, so it's reflective lights or windows, whatever it was, but they had to all kind of be similar, and I couldn't, you know, if I had any squiggly lines, you'd notice. And of course, even the outside of it had to be very clean. Any squiggly lines, you're gonna notice right away. So I just had to be a lot more tidy about everything with this one. Thank you everybody for watching this video. If you'd like to check out my stuff, you can do so on my Instagram at Pony Lawson or YouTube by the same name. Check it out and let me know what you think. Thank you once again, Inked, for having me.
Has anyone written a fan fiction about you?
No, not yet. Are you gonna start?
I will. I used to write Justin Bieber one, so I can do it.
Well, you know, me and Justin, we're basically